Hello, everyone. Welcome to Becoming Bold podcast. I am your host, Cynthia, and welcome back to another episode. Guys, no more yellow walls. I am in a new space, a new city, new environment. I currently, like I said, transitioned into a new city. So that's why you guys haven't seen me in a month. Yeah, it's been a month. I'm so surprised and so shocked how long it's been since I've last been on here, but I'm back. I got new equipment by the God's grace, and we're just back and better. We're just back, and I'm so excited. Just to dive into today's episode, I'm going to be talking about emotions, right? And the reason why I want to speak on this topic is because the last two episodes, I was talking about renewing our mind, and I kind of touched on the topic of emotions in that episode. So if you want to know more about that, go and watch that episode. But this one, we're going to go more into the emotion aspects, onto why we do the things that we do and how it correlates to our mindset, going back to that other video. So yeah, that's basically what we're going to be talking about, and I'm so excited. Okay. So starting off, why is being led, being controlled by our emotions so dangerous, right? One of the things I can say is, like I mentioned in my previous video, our emotions fluctuate. To solely put our entire trust, entire feeling, or whatever it is, like into our emotions. An example I want to say is, let's say, I'm saying, oh, I'm angry. This person did this to me. And my immediate response is, oh, let me retaliate. Let me text them. Let me say this. Let me cuss them out. That's more so what I want to dive into, is how sometimes the way we feel isn't a valid reason onto why we should act that out, that emotion out. There's multiple examples in the Bible of people who were led by emotions, and we saw the consequences of that the results of acting out of our emotions, letting our emotions control us. We see Sarah and Abraham. They were frustrated that, God gave them a promise that they were going to have a child, and the child did not come in the time frame that they wanted it to come. And so we've seen that they, outside of his will, they had another child outside of God's timing, right? And yes, God let it happen, but we see how it's not what God originally wanted them to do. And I can say a lot of us too, touching on the topic of fear, right? We let fear control our lives. We're afraid to do something. We think it's a valid reason to not go forth with our lives, right? And there's nothing wrong with being afraid of doing something. We're humans. We're going to be afraid of acting out or moving forward with something that either God told us to do, or let's say we have a project at school, a presentation at school, and we're afraid to present. And that's honestly okay. God gave us these emotions. So we just have to more so know how to control our emotions and not let our emotions control us. If you're afraid of moving forward with something God instructed you to do, God isn't necessarily entirely telling you, oh, I don't care how you feel, just do it. No, how can you find a way to where you can navigate moving forth with the instruction, but still be like, okay, Lord, like I am afraid, I am scared of doing it, what it is that you are telling me to do. Be my strength. Help me move forward. Give me the guidance that I need. Send confirmation, letting me know that you're here. And it's like you're going forth with what it is that he's telling you to do with that fear, but at the same time, you're not letting fear cause you to be stagnant. Cause you be stagnant in life. And that's when being controlled by your emotions become dangerous, because it influences your decisions. It influences the fact that, oh, because I'm afraid of going forth with my life, I'm just not gonna move, right? So now it's like you're letting your emotions control you. Say if it's anger that you are struggling with and that you are allowing to control your life, Notice how when you walk around hot-headed, when you walk around with this high temper, nobody wants to be around you. And when you're angry, it influences what you want to do with that anger. We have most people, the way that they react is off of cussing out someone. The way that they react is off of like not talking to this person, murdering, and all these things. And they feel like it's the right thing to do when it's not. It goes against everything God commands us, right? He tells us to love our neighbor. He tells us to not to seek revenge. And anger does the exact thing God tells us not to do. Now, there's nothing wrong with like righteous anger, because righteous anger is more so like you see something wrong and you're asking God, hey God, like I'm upset about this. Like, let me pray for this person. I'm upset about this. Let's talk about it. Like, what can I do to change this if I do have that sense of control? If not, I'm just going to give this all to you and leave it at your feet. Right? So there's nothing wrong with, like I said, describing the two emotions so far. There's other emotions, but I just want to touch on these two specifically. There's nothing wrong with having these emotions, but how you respond to these emotions that you feel is what makes it powerful, right? So if you're afraid, like I said, if you're afraid of something, move forth with it with that fear and ask the Lord to reassure you along the way. If it's anger, ask the Lord or give the Lord what is it that you're upset about and allow him to take care of it, right? I can say in the past, I used to struggle with anger really, really bad, especially during basketball season. And I did not care how I talked to people. And one thing that I hated was the fact that after I said what I said to this particular person or did what I did to this particular person, I dealt with this guilt and regret. And I hated feeling that every single time. So I'm like, bro, like I need to overcome anger. I hate the feeling that I get left with after lashing out on somebody or seeking revenge. So the Lord had to bring me through this process of bringing me to a job to where I was constantly dealing with disrespect, constantly dealing with mistreatment, and I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't say anything or else I'll lose my job. And it definitely helped because I realized, like, after the person said that thing to me, life went on. Life went on. I never saw that person ever again. And it was just like, what's the point of wasting all my energy retaliating to people? And it just didn't make any sense to me, right? So that's why it's so important to just let it go. Whatever you're feeling, whatever emotion that you're feeling, like, feel it, but don't let it control you. Don't let it be the sole reason onto why you are the way you are. And that leads me to my next point on our emotions does not define us. Some people like going around telling people, man, I'm a crash out. I'm a certified crash out. That's just who I am. No, that's not okay. That's not who you are. And you give yourself this identity, and it's like, do you realize nobody want to be around you? Do you realize your circle is small for a reason? Do you like walking around like that? Like, are you actually proud to call yourself that? No. How can God do any work in you if you're just going around being okay with the fact that this is who you are? Right? So this is why it's so important to just, and then there is people out there who generally hate the fact that that's what they struggle with, right? And going back to like me, myself, like I hated the fact that I was angry all the time. If somebody stepped on my shoe, like we had beef. If somebody bumped into me, we had beef. It was just every little thing ticked me off, and I hated being a ticking bomb. And when I finally learned how to control my anger and be like, Cynthia, is this a valid reason to be upset? That's when I started asking the Lord, take this away from me. Like, take this anger away from me. And if you're not going to take it away, help me better manage it. Right? So I can proudly say I'm no longer no ticking bomb. Right? And he can do the same for you. Tell the Lord, I struggle with being like with fear. I'm struggling with moving forward. What it is that you're telling me to do. Lord, I struggle with anger. Nobody wants to be around me because of this anger. And it's like, that's when he can begin doing the work in you. That's when the sanctification process can begin, and it looks different for everyone, the way how he sanctifies us. Like I said, mine was through a job. I had to get mistreated at a job, talked bad about at a job. And for you, it can be, a mom nagging your ear all the time. You have to do your best holding your tongue. Okay? So that's more so of what this whole episode is basically about. Just you having this sense of control over your emotions to where it does not create this ungodly character, a character that doesn't represent who he is. Now imagine if you're preaching the gospel to someone, you're letting this person know who Jesus is, and behind closed doors, like, this is how you're treating your employees, this is how you're talking to your friends. They're gonna look at you and be like, are they really who they say they are? And it's such an embarrassing feeling. Like when I used to do that all the time when I was playing basketball, like a whole different side of Cynthia was shown, and I had to look back and I'm like, bro, like if I were to tell any of my teammates about Jesus, or the ones that I did tell about Jesus, am I representing him well? Am I doing my best to represent Jesus Christ? No. No, I was not. My character was not the best at the time. And allowing God to change your identity, coming out of the agreement of saying that I'm just an angry person and that's just the way it is and God can never change me. No, that is a lie. God can change you. God has the power to change you. The time frame may look different for everybody, but the Lord can do that. The Lord can change you. He can make you into a new being. So you can walk around looking like him. And going on to my last point that I want to come across is seek physical help. Don't be afraid to seek physical help. I feel like a lot of people bash certain people for the fact that they want to seek therapy, that they want anger management class and all this, that, the third. There's nothing wrong with seeking help from a human being, from mental health institutions, whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why God created each and one of us. Everybody's here to do certain things, different things, and some people are really, really good at helping you process your emotions. There's a lot of people, particularly men, who, I'll say myself too, I struggle with identifying what it is that I'm feeling. So let's say I can be upset, happy, frustrated, angry all at the same time. I don't know which one it's causing me to react or be a certain way. So I did Christian therapy. My therapist was a Christian, and she helped me to identify what was wrong with me, and that helped out a lot, because I was like, okay, now I see why I did what I did. It was because I was upset. Now I see why I did what I did. It was because I was mad. And doing that helps out so much. Seeking physical help, because some people are really good at identifying what is wrong with you. And if you have that mindset of, oh, Jesus is my only help, that's that, there's nothing wrong with that. But that defeats the whole purpose of community. It defeats the whole purpose of therapists and all these other anger management people. It defeats the whole purpose of why we have that. Other people are good at identifying that, and so just seek help. Seek physical help. Talk to your pastor. Talk to your friend. Talk to whoever it is. Ask them to pray for you, to help you identify your emotions if you can't afford therapy or mental help. Ask them to pray for you. Ask them, and also you as well. Pray and ask God, Lord, what is it that I'm feeling? What is in my heart? Search my heart, Lord. And that is the beginning to something beautiful. It is the beginning of God doing this work in you to help you no longer be controlled by your emotions. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in on this episode. I'm so happy to be back. Next episode, I will make a video just talking about what my podcast is about. I know I'm already 5 episodes in, 6 episodes in. It's too late. No, it's never too late. Okay, I'm still learning how this whole podcast thing works. So next episode, that's what we're gonna talk about. So Thank you guys again so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.